Hello, John.
Hello, Liz.
Hello.
Liz, I have a question for you.
Ah.
And the question is, you've now been exposed to dragon dreaming for 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that attracted you personally to dragon dreaming?
First of all, I always work with people with difficult to do. No, my career started in rehabilitation process, and I always was passion for a huge human capacity to do things with proposal, and I can see it was the give a passion for people to know. And when I changed my career to work in other fields, in the fields with outside rehabilitation, but much more therapy and developing groups developing, I found dragon dreaming, and I discovered dragon dreaming. It's a good framework to give a guide for people connect with proposal, connect with passion, and then can go and do in the world. And this relation, this framework, dragon dreaming proposal to individual and environment, give me the substance, the support for do what I was doing. And personally, I like this kind of guide. I felt it's a feed, it's a food for intellectual aspects in human being. And I felt these people, when they know dragon dreaming, say, wow, it's giving me the answer. And I believe this answer is because it's what we know in us. And we know we need to dream, we need to connect with our passion, we need to connect with our intention and our proposal. And when I am connected this in my body, in my inner
being,
thank you, I can do.
Yeah.
And then it's easy, I connect with this base to is dragon dreaming propose. And the other traditions propose too is the trust, it's overcoming fear and connect with my all feelings from my first intention, my real personal intention. And in these 3.5 years we are working, I felt it's what happens, and it's motive myself to continue this work.
Yes, it's been wonderful, the addition that you've brought to this work in terms of your therapeutic background and the depth of your understanding in terms of the way in which we relate to our inner selves. Because one of the things about dragon dreaming up to now has been, it's been very much the connection between us and the environment, that dragon dreaming has had this impulse to go out into the world. And the dimension that you've added is a much more focus on going in to ourselves and our own purpose in that way. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I have a question for you. In these 30 years work with dragon dreaming, what can you observe in terms of the personal growth? How it happens when people do a project? And how, or maybe it have a relation for the other steps, the community development and service the earth. Can you see this relation when happens in the personal growth, help others to these other dimensions? Amplify the conscious about earth, for example, about community?
Very definitely. What has happened in our culture, and it's been there for a long, long time, is that our culture is a culture that creates the illusion of a separated ego. It creates the illusion that somehow we are separate from the earth, or we are separate from the community. And that these beliefs are false, they're not true. Because we are a part of the earth, we are a part of the communities we live in. And so how do we heal that false separation? And the thing that we've discovered through Dragon Dreaming, that false separation, is actually healed through engagement. It is actually healed through participation. It's actually healed by getting involved in something bigger than ourselves. The other thing too about that is that getting involved in this way, what it teaches us is that who we are in reality is a result of the projects we've done in our life. The skills that you possess is a result of 20 or more years of getting involved in your life in the way in which it has. And it's through getting involved in these projects that gives our life meaning. You know, the purpose that I have in my life is a result of all the projects that I've done. And so in this way, it is the thing that shapes us, gives us the skills and capacities that we possess, is a result of the way in which I've engaged in the world. And so in that way, Dragon Dreaming is just making a process that is automatically happening. It makes it makes us aware of what's happening. So it's a process of building and deepening our awareness, because everybody does projects all the time, but they mightn't call it a project, or they mightn't even be aware that they're doing projects. But with Dragon Dreaming, it cultivates that awareness and gives us the tools to be able to improve and make those projects more successful.
What is the tools in Dragon Dreaming for become awareness?
The way in which the tool begins, what we say is that Dragon Dreaming is based on living systems theory. It starts with a stimulus. It starts with something that happens to us in our life. And for most stimuli, for most of the things that stimulate us, we filter that out of our awareness. And so what we need to do, the first step is the stimulus. The second step is that we take that stimulus and pay attention to it. And it's that process of paying attention to the stimulus. It's like crossing a threshold, crossing a door, going through a doorway. And once we go through that doorway, that opens up possibilities that we didn't see before. And by taking those possibilities and applying them in action to actually get involved in it through changing our own behavior, we discover that who we are is more than who we think we are. That who we are is a person who's in a process of development in terms of our own self-development. And it's when that becomes visible to us, it creates a deep sense of satisfaction. That sense of satisfaction, as a result of what we've done, is what builds wisdom. It builds wisdom over time. And wisdom is very closely connected to our awareness. It's very closely connected to our attention. And so that circular process from intention to possibility to changing our behavior, and our behavior being fed back through our sense of satisfaction, is not just a circle. It is in fact a spiral process, because each time we go around that spiral, we learn more about life, we learn more about the world we live in, and we learn more about ourselves. So that's the process.
And when you say about to have a tools to become awareness, what in Dragon Dream you suggest to become awareness about this process?
The first thing you need to do is to discover what your dream is. But what we found in the general world is that every project ever done has started as the dream of just one person. But the first step to making your dream come true is that you need to build a team around your dream. It's the actual sharing of your dream with others that will lead the dream to have a greater depth. It's then when you're engaged with other people that you become aware. You become aware of yourself. You become aware of the others. Just like you and I working together. My awareness as a result of working with you has deepened profoundly. And I've become aware of that. I become aware of my strengths, but I become also aware of my weaknesses. And when we become aware of our strengths and weaknesses, we can celebrate that.
You say the awareness comes from relation.
It comes from out of a relationship between me and others. It comes a relationship between me and the world. And it's out of that connection between the individual and the environment, me and the world, that comes the possibility of growth. that's where true collective intelligence arises. And that's what we're on about in Dragon Dreaming, is how do we build collective awareness? How do we build collective wisdom? How do we build collective intelligence? Because we need that in the world now. So, in terms of your personal ideas on the direction that Dragon Dreaming is taking at the moment, what is the directions that Dragon Dreaming is taking that excite you the most?
It's maybe development more awareness about awareness.
Yes.
It's we really see what we do. It's motivated myself to work in trainings for people and myself to look at what has really happened behind the just the project done, but to really pay attention what's my personal growth, what I learned, what's my new discoveries from this project, from these relations that you mentioned. And in this, I dreamed that in these ways for Dragon Dream for me is to, and the work with you, the work with Dragon Dreaming is to create a more deeper level for we see what you do and recognize what we see, because I felt it's more difficult recognize what we see, because it's easy we see what's beautiful, but sometimes it's not so beautiful what happens, and we need to recognize this too and see that like equal process. Not one is better than the other, but it's equal, and I have opportunity to learn if everything has happened in the project in my life. And it is in some way it is my motivation to create new things, new workshops, new theories in Dragon Dreaming, like we are doing in Overcoming Blockades. And it starts now created about celebration too. It's a deep level look for celebration, because celebration is definitely see what we do. When we really see that, it's possible dream again.
And so, given that deepening that you talk about, what is the possibility for the world that you see coming out of that?
Wow. It's a huge question. I'm not sure I have capacity to answer that, because maybe it could be the solution for the problems in the world. And I think I haven't the solution. But I tried the solution my life. And in this way, I think if each person really look for personal life, for personal light, for personal shadow, and each person learn trust in life. Each person trust in your community and your field, and together, each one with trust, empower ourselves, look for the building a good life, good practice. We can together create a new world and this great turning. It's not one unique solution, but for each one, because each one needs different things, and each one look for yourself.
This relates very strongly to my own thoughts too. I am aware that at the moment, when we look at the big problems in the world, the really big problems like the collapse of the ecosystems, or the fact that we are depleting non-renewable resources, and so, or the world financial crisis, that we haven't found the answers to these problems. Because if we'd found the answers to these problems would be getting smaller and they'd be disappearing. So if we haven't found the answers yet, how can we find them? And the thing I feel, and from experience, and I've seen, is that the only thing that's going to enable us to find the answers to these problems is if we stimulate human creativity on a massive scale.
Yeah.
That we increase the capacity for each of us to be creative. And that's creative in every way. It's politically creative, it's socially and environmentally creative, it's ecologically and economically creative, it's artistically and culturally creative. So we need to become more creative if we're going to find answers to these problems. And so what I see is that finding the answer for the individual is one part of it. But the thing is that we can only find true answers to the individuals if we're finding answers at the same time for our local environment, for our local community. And if we have enough people doing this around the world, it becomes finding answers for everybody. So that's dragon dreaming.
Trust, creativity,
building creativity, encouraging people to get engaged, for people to become participants in the world and to become participants in their own life and to observe what is happening and to reflect on how to improve it. If we do that, eventually perhaps we'll find all the answers.
I hope.
Yes, that's the hope out of which dragon dreaming is born. So our invitation to everybody watching this is to get involved.
Yeah.